Hi guys, and welcome to your last lesson of the week. I hope that you were found the last lesson a little bit more relaxing because I did just feel like it was you were due a bit of time off. I've been making you do quite a lot of quite a good amount of writing, sort of like paragraphs at a time. I do want to take this moment to again continue to say well done for the really, really good work you've been putting in over the last week. I think a lot of you have really managed to get the whole idea of creative writing and run with it in a way that I don't think that you maybe would have done as well if you were in class or if you were kind of getting a bit distracted. I think that I'm getting some amazing work out of a lot of you. A bit of feedback on the last one. I am just, having looked over what you have done, a lot of you did a really, really good job of writing your descriptive paragraphs, but you kind of forgot that the descriptive paragraph was supposed to be about the character. So you were doing the description of the setting and things like that, and big description of the excitement that was happening, gunshots and explosions and whatever, but you kind of forgot about the description of the character. The best paragraphs that I read were ones where it wasn't just a straight description of how they looked. There's also like how they acted in terms of how they looked. So talking about like if they had a leather jacket, they had it slung over one shoulder, that tells you a lot more. Now the leather jacket might tell you that they're quite maybe quite cool, or they think they're kind of bad, or they think they're sort of they're a certain type of person. But the slung over the shoulder also suggests a confidence, a relaxed nature. So think about clothing, think about how they handle the clothing. As well as that, some people were really good with doing sort of body language that gave us character description as well. If they're jiggling their knee a lot, if they're biting their nails a lot, what does that tell you about them? So for your actual stories, I want you to be thinking about these like micro descriptions that tell you so much by saying like in a really small amount of space, instead of just having it so the person walks into the restaurant, they are wearing white shirt, black trousers, da, da, da. It only tells you so much. So think about how they interact with themselves as well. Like what are they doing? How are they walking? Are they looking around cautiously? Is their head on the ground? Are they fidgeting? Are they comfortable? Are they uncomfortable? And that gives you a lot. I do want to say I was unbelievably impressed with your word choice analysis. It's just because I've been doing a lot of marking for hires at the moment, and we've been doing close reading skills, and they have to analyze word choice, and so many of them are forgetting to kind of say exactly what that word tells you. What does this word really suggest? And you guys have totally nailed it. I just this is just a general well done. I think most people that I looked at had got the idea perfectly. You picked out a word and you said exactly what that word tells you about this man. So a really, really big well done to that. We're probably going to have to do a close reading test at some point over the next few weeks. That will be, I'll just tell you a time to log on. You have to do it within a certain time frame, and I'll be told if you're late. So I'll plan it all and I'll tell you when it's going to be. But I'm really positive that you guys are going to do very well in the next close reading test if that's sort of what you are doing. That's my dog in the corner. You can just, that's what the weird shape is. Okay, she's gone now. Right, let's move on to the actual lesson. So we are working on plot today. I've called this lesson Plotting Your Assassination. Before we make a start on plot though, I do want to do a quick recap of the story I asked you to read earlier on in the week called The Telltale Heart. Now, this story should have been a challenge, okay? If you found it easy, then congratulations, you are doing great. But I think for the most of us, it is a bit of a challenge. It is a really famous story written by a really, really famous author called Edgar Allan Poe. You might have even heard of him. He's like a horror writer. I chose this because it follows the kind of story that you might be following. A man is driven to decide to plot the murder of somebody else and then gets kind of the repercussions. Oh, I shouldn't have. Oh no, I wish I hadn't said that because I now realize I've set the question. Briefly summarize the short story I asked you to read last lesson. Okay, you've got the premise from me, but more happens in the story I need you to put in your summarize, such as what happens at the end. Okay, so please can you have a go at writing that? And the second question I'd like you to answer right now is, how did the author make the story exciting? So just, you could pull out a line that you thought was exciting and say why it's exciting, or you could just tell me a certain part of it and why it was exciting, but it's supposed to be an exciting story. So if you thought you didn't find it exciting, you're going to have to go back to the story and see if you can see, because it is deliberately done to be quite tense and quite exciting. So please can you answer these 2 questions? I would like to be marking these 2 questions or reading over them, so make sure you type up or write up your answers. Okay, let's move on now. You should have done that. Okay, so we're talking about plot, and I just want to remind you of this plot diagram, which you may have seen before. This is the standard shape of a story, and the story, it could be in a film, TV show, book, short story. They often form this kind of shape. So it's going to take you through what happens. So this is the beginning of the story, and this is the end of the story, and this is kind of what happens all the way through. At the beginning, you have your opening, and we call it exposition. That's when you just basically explain the backstory of what's going on just a little bit. You don't have to be really, you don't have to tell the whole story of how the assassin got to be on the rooftop, but we definitely get a little bit about who the assassin is. That's where you put in that description of how they look and how they act. It gives you a bit of exposition, tells you a bit about them. It's where you set the scene. Where are we? Are we in London? Are we in Prague? Are we in the middle of the desert? And something happens that we call the inciting moment. Usually something kind of like a conflict or something serious happens. So in your story, something's going to happen to get it going. Maybe the target will appear, and then the assassin will know, oh, now I've got to do it. Maybe they'll take a shot, but they'll miss. Maybe, so something kind of interesting is going to happen, at which point it will kind of build an excitement. Now, I do want to say, in this diagram, it kind of goes straight up. Sometimes you have like, it goes up and then down and then up again, because it often gets exciting and then cools down and gets really exciting again. So you don't have to just have it so that one thing happens and then it gets exciting and then it ends. You could have a few exciting things happen. But ultimately, about 2/3 of the way through your story, there should be the bit that's most exciting. So the climactic event, the bit where your assassin is sprinting through the streets because they're being chased because they messed up, or they are thinking they're going to miss the shot, or just something where it is at its most exciting before you kind of come to a resolution. And I'm going to stress here, it has to come to a resolution. I do not want to be reading any stories that end on cliffhangers. I am sick of it. It's a lazy thing to do. No one's waking up and it was a dream. No one's, I pulled the trigger and then dash. No, you need to decide, is your assassin going to kill the target? Are they going to decide not to kill the target, or are they going to miss, or is the assassin going to get killed? It's got to have a resolution, please. Okay, that is so important. So this is the general structure. You have to set the scene a little bit. You have to kind of get the action moving. It needs to build up in excitement until about 2/3 of the way through, and then you need to come to some kind of resolution. We call it falling action. It's like the bit at the end where they're escaping, or the bit at the end where they realize that the person they were told to assassinate was their own brother. I don't know, the bit where they kind of come to terms with it and then it ends. So that is the general shape. What I would like you to do is think about the telltale heart and think how that would fit. What is the moment where things begin to get exciting? What's the most exciting bit of it, and how does it resolve? I'm not actually going to ask you to submit your answers to this, but if you could try and, for your notes, could you please draw out this and write out the notes around it, write down raising action, climactic event, and I'd like you to see if you can put the telltale heart along to it. So which bit is the conflict? Which bit is the most climactic event? Again, you can take a photo and show me if you'd like, or you can just stay in your jotter. That's your choice. Okay, that is your second task. Your final task now, it's nice and easy. You're going to make up a storyboard showing the general plot of your story. So remember to keep in mind the plot model that we've looked at already. So you have to keep this in mind while you're doing it. Do not worry about the pictures in your storyboard. They don't have to be perfect, but you need to have a general idea. So stickmen is fine. And remember, you need to write a short description beneath each picture showing what's happening. And I think you guys all know what a storyboard looks like. Here is what it's supposed to look like. You'll probably draw this out. I mean, you can attempt to do this on the computer, but I think it'd be quite difficult, like on Microsoft Paint or something. So you're probably going to draw this out on a bit of paper or on your jotter. So 6 boxes. In each box, you're going to write down a summary of what happens at each point of the story. So in this little box here, and then draw a quick picture of what that should look like, who's going to be there. My advice when doing this, if whenever I've had to do, when I had to do this at school and things like that, is do the first box and then do the last box and then start to fill in. So know how it begins and know how it ends. And then you can work backwards or fill in the middle panels. That's the easiest thing to do. I know a lot of you have not really been thinking much about your story. Now is the time. Okay, you've set up the character. That was the last lesson. You know who your assassin's going to be. You don't yet know, we haven't done anything on who your target's going to be, so that's, you're probably going to put that into this storyboard. But give me a general idea, even if it's, you're not 100%. So it could be something like, first box, I wonder if I can draw. Oh, I think I can. So the first box, it could be a rooftop, and you can draw like, you know, where the setting's going to be. I'm going to say it's going to be on a skyscraper in a big city. So I'm going to draw like the city landscape here. Wow, I'm actually quite impressed with my own. Oh no, actually, no, it looks like a bouncy castle. It's fine. And I'm going to say that my assassin is a sniper and he's sitting at the top. He's massive in comparison to that skyscraper. He's sitting at the top of a skyscraper, and that's supposed to be a gun, and he is scanning across the city. So in the bottom bit, I might say the assassin sits at the top of a skyscraper. We get a description of London, let's say, and that's all. I move on to my next thing. Maybe in my next one, I might describe the target walking along a busy, I don't know why I'm still drawing, this is horrible, walking through like a busy street. So that's what I'm basically meaning, okay? This is a nice, fun and easy task. I don't think much of what I'm asking you to do is going to be too tricky. I do want you to send me a picture of what you have come up with, though, just so I can just so I can make sure that you're doing the right thing. And I'll mostly just say good, fine, well done on the comments. But if I think your story might be a bit ridiculous or there's too many characters, I will comment that just to give you a bit of a heads up before you start. That is your final task for today. So just to recap your tasks, you have to answer these 2 questions. I need you to copy out this into your notes, but you don't actually have to upload this. This is just for your notes. And I would like you to draw out your 6-panel plot. Right, guys, thank you very much. Fairly easy lesson today, I think. And I'll see you next week. Goodbye.